Coming up on today's Locked On Mavs, we're talking big threes. And do the Dallas Mavericks, do they actually have a big three? Coming up next.
I'm here because I have to be.
Dallas is going to get a seat at the table.
That's it. It's me versus the machine. Don't let his lightness take away from his quickness.
You can rest later. You're young.
I'm Aaron Color here.
Wait. One more thing. Yeah, it's a one more thing. You're locked on the Dallas Mavericks. This is one of your co-hosts, Isaac Harris, formerly of the Dallas Mavericks, longtime host of the show. And we're back for another conversation. Another one more thing. This is not a regular episode. If you're brand new to One More Things, then this is kind of like a short, quick hitter type of show where it's like 15, 20 minutes on an extra topic. And today's topic are big threes. And does Dallas actually have a big three? I thought about this over the past few days, and especially coming out of media day, because, you know, there was a little bit of buzz of, why didn't they get a picture of, Kyrie and Luka and Klay together? I seen a graphic on Mavs Twitter a few days ago, and it was, or Mavs X, is that what we call it now? And it was best big three in the NBA. And I'm not like calling that account out. I can't even remember who tweeted it out, but it made me think about it of, is this fair to call it a big three? Is this a big three? What is a big three now? And that's what I want to talk about today. For the next 15, 20 minutes, do the Mavericks have a big three? And obviously it centers around how you view Klay Thompson. And I kind of want to give two different perspectives on how we view Klay. And at the end, I'll answer it, if the Mavericks have a big three or not. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. If you're watching or you're listening on audio in your cars, whether you're a listener on audio or YouTube, make sure you become a Locked On Mavs insider. And you can do that by the link in the description. That's where we tweet out different things. Literally just like 20 minutes ago, there was a report about Dante Exum's injury. So you know when I'm recording this now on a Friday. And about him injuring his wrist. So I'm sure we'll have more about that throughout the weekend and how that changes the bench rotation and the guard rotation and all of that. So make sure you become a Locked On Mavs insider and get text from Nick and myself. If you're listening on YouTube, watching on YouTube, leave a comment. Comment anything, or you can leave a raccoon emoji. Some people do that. I love that. Love seeing that. But answer this. Do the Mavericks have a big three? Yes or no? And whatever you answer with, tell me why. Say yes, the Mavericks do have a big three. You're crazy, Isaac. You're stupid. Do you watch ball? And tell me the reason why. And if not, tell me, no, they don't. You're dumb, Isaac. Like, what are we talking about? They have a big two. So let's talk about it for a second. Where are we at in big threes in the NBA? I mean, it feels like, we were going years ago to where big threes were the thing. It feels like that's what everybody was chasing after. How can you form your big three? Do you want to start with the Miami big three? Do you want to go back to the Boston? I feel like, the big three that happened in Miami gave it like a term of the big three. But you could honestly go back to like Boston. Do you want to do the like KG, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen big three? And then where does Rondo fit in? And where does Kendrick Perkins fit in? Maybe he was part of the big three and not like Ray Allen. But I don't think big threes are really that big of a thing now. Like, if you look across the league and say, who has a big three? I mean, you could say last year that the Clippers technically had one in James Harden and Kawhi and Paul George. Now with Paul George going to Philly, do the Philly... Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid. Is that a big three? I guess it's a big three. I guess it's technically a big three. We keep on looking across the league, like Golden State. You could talk about that for a while when they had Klay with Draymond and Steph. And of course, when they had KD, that was unbelievable. I'm not ready to call like Chet, Jalen Williams, and SGA a big three. Sorry. I'm just not. Phoenix, Brad Beal, you're not good enough to be a big three. I I just don't know, when you go across the board, you see a lot of big twos. And it's become this like duo thing. A lot of it has to do with money, what you can afford, and all of that. I mean, New York, I guess if you want to try to figure that out, it's like who's the three best players on that team. You could do a Milwaukee thing with Dame and Middleton with Giannis and say that's kind of like a big three. If you want to do that, Boston, you kind of got the duo. I just think it's a big drop off after that. And then you have all those guys together of a Drew, KP, Derek White. I mean, the roster is just so loaded. So I say that of saying, does Dallas have a big three now with adding Klay? And I'm not sure. I've went kind of back and forth on it. And I go back to this equation that I heard years ago, and I can't credit, I can't remember where I saw it from, but it's always stuck with me. That said, results minus expectations equal success. Results minus expectations equals success. Now, you could take that in a sports realm, you could take that in a business realm, or whatever you want to do with that. But I think I try to use that kind of formula when it comes to different situations, whether it's rosters, whether it's a basketball team going into a new year, whether it's a big three put together or a duo put together. What are the results that happens between those guys? Take that, compare that to what were the expectations for those guys, and that will give you success. To where if the results outweighs the expectations that you put forth for those guys, or the combination of those guys, then all right, that's success, right? But if you put the expectations so high and the results just doesn't meet that, then you're like, hey, well, that wasn't success, right? So let's look at it from a Mavs angle in this, because and I'm going to kind of spoil this a little bit. I think it's a little unfair. To put the third star, the big three label, on Klay Thompson. And there's a few reasons why I think it's a little unfair for us to jump ahead to that and to label it as a big three and to say we have the best big three in the NBA and all of that. I think it's a little unfair for where Klay is at right now. But first, let's take a quick break and then we'll be back. And I want to talk about a couple different angles to that.
I don't believe you shouldn't be here.
This podcast is brought to you by, here we go, Game Time. Game Time. I am going to an Usher concert later tonight, and you know where you can find tickets for an Usher concert? You're looking at Game Time. Game Time it even has this new feature to where you can have Game Time picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. We love watching stuff on our TV, but nothing beats going to a live event. You can even filter out the fluff to show you only the incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through all the thousands of tickets. And you know, one of the coolest things about Game Time is it has this feature that you can click all in pricing. You got to turn it on. But I hate when you have to check out sometimes and that there's all these like fees that happen. Not with Game Time. You can turn this feature on and you won't be surprised at the end with any of the fees. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time! This podcast is also brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel, guys, the first Mavs game of the season is coming up against the Spurs. And if you look at FanDuel and you say, hey, what's the odds right now for that Mavs Spurs game? Wemby, Chris Paul, Harrison Barnes, Luka, Kyrie, Klay. This is fun. We have the Texas battle. The Mavs are 8.5 favorites. 8.5 favorites. If you're confident in that, take that on FanDuel. And listen, when you watch the game and you get this hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, live play-by-play, so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You can get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Oh, I'm so close. Yeah! Guys, I'm getting better. I'm getting better at the ad breaks here. Make sure you let Nick know. Tell Nick. Say, hey, Isaac's getting better at it. He's getting better at it. All right, let's talk about Klay Thompson. So there's a couple of different angles I want to look at this. First, let's look at on one hand, I think it's a little unfair to say Klay Thompson is washed. Klay Thompson had a bad year last year. Klay Thompson, he's not he's done. That is so unfair and it's so not right because Klay Thompson had a pretty good year last year. He did interviews all throughout media day, but he did this recent interview with the New York Times and stuff too. And he was talking about that year last year. He's like, I didn't have a bad year. Like I put up 18 points a game. I shot 39% from three. Guys, last year, if you look at how many points he put up last year, he put up 18 points a game. He averaged more points last year than James Harden, more points than Jordan Poole, who loves to chuck it. He averaged more points than Chet Holmgren, than Fred VanVleet. He wasn't just a gimmick guy that came in and hit a few threes to make the crowd, clap their hands. Like Klay put up 18 points a game. You know how many games he played last year? 77 out of 82 games Klay Thompson played. And he also shot 39% from three on 9 attempts a game. So he's shooting a super high volume of threes, still shooting the ball at a super high clip at 39%. He's durable right now, even coming off all the injuries that we've talked about, and the two major injuries that everybody's talked about over and over again. He played 77 games last year. And he's still scoring 18 points a game. I say that because he's not washed. He's not done. He's not, he didn't have a bad year last year and all of that stuff. He's still a good player. But hear me out. I think it's okay to say there's an in-between. I think it's also a little premature and a little unfair to say the other end of the spectrum too, of saying he's a star and it's the big three and it's the same Klay Thompson as before. Because on the other hand, you look at a few other things. Klay is 34, right? Like Klay's 34 years old. You know how many players are 35 and up in the league right now in the NBA? 32, just 32 players. And in that 32 count, you're still counting guys like a Danny Green or somebody that's really not even in the league. So you can even go a step after that and say only 14 players last year. Oh, my kid has a cutout right here, a little monster. Last year, only 14 players over the age of 34 years old, because Klay is going to be 34 this year. Only 14 players played over 25 minutes a game. Klay played around 29 minutes a game last year at 33. So he's going to be 34 this year, and only 14 players last year played over 25 minutes a game. So saying he's in the minority, okay? If only 14 players did that. Let's look at how much he's getting paid, because I think this is one of the biggest things for this coming season, to temper expectations, to have realistic expectations. Klay Thompson's not getting paid $30 million. Klay Thompson's not getting paid $40 million. He's not even getting paid $20 million. He's getting paid $15.8 million next year. Guys, he's getting paid Daniel Gafford money, okay? He's getting paid. You know who's getting slightly paid more than Klay Thompson? Tim Hardaway Jr., Karis LeVert, Kevin Huerter. And Klay just signed his new deal. So that tells you of kind of where the Warriors were viewing Klay, where it's not like Klay. I mean, Dallas really, really wanted Klay, but this isn't a scenario of like, oh, dude, the only reason he went to Dallas is because, I mean, who wouldn't go to Dallas if he got $30 million a year? He's not getting $30 million a year. He's getting Daniel Gafford money. He's getting $15.8 million. So is he the same player that he was pre-injuries? No. But who would? Who would be? You expect it, right? I just don't think he should be getting treated like he's a $30 million player or a $29 million player. He shouldn't be getting paid. He shouldn't be getting treated like he's getting over $30 million. He's 29 years old and he hadn't had an ACL or an Achilles injury. All those things are just like not true. Like he has to there has to be realistic expectations for this. And I get it, it's not fun for social media graphics or a podcast or hot takes or talk shows. It's not fun to sit here and say there has to be an in-between, because we want to be the extremes, especially in media. We want to say either he's done, he's washed, or we want to say, dude, the Mavericks just got Klay Thompson and he's at the peak of his game. Did you see what he did against OKC in game 6 and all of this stuff? The Mavs just got that. We want to be all the extremes, either side of it. There's no room for the in-between. And I just want to say, for this season, can we say that there's an in-between? That it's okay to say, is Klay Thompson a third star in regards to popularity? Yes, of course. But is Klay Thompson a third star by his game right now? I don't think so. And that's perfectly fine, because I'm so excited for him to be in Dallas. I think he's going to hit 1,000,000 threes and hit a ton of shots and provide so much spacing, have so much experience and championship experience. I think he's going to start a ton of games. I think he's going to do so much for what Dallas is trying to do this year and be that missing piece for them to win a title. But I also think it's a little unfair to say this is a big three and to put that expectation on him that he is the third star of a big three and all of the stuff for all the graphics and all of that. So there's my Klay Thompson take conversation for this coming season. Guys, this is the one more thing. We'll be back sometime over the weekend. We'll definitely be back Sunday night as we head into the first week of preseason. Thank God, we need basketball back so freaking bad. Please give us basketball to watch. Guys, appreciate it. Thank you. And make sure you subscribe, like, share the show on YouTube and all of that. Catch you soon. Peace out.